Yes, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. This is your boy Jacob. Now, today we are going to compare employment in a private setting versus employment in a government setting. So just stay there and listen. We are going to start with job opportunities. There is a higher demand of health workers in both institutions, but we have to say that job opportunities in a government setting are more harder to get. Yes, because of increased number of health workers nowadays, and also the posts are getting small. So there is a higher chance of getting a job in a private setting than in a government setting, because the advantages of being in a government setting are quite higher than those in a private setting. That's why many people want to get jobs in a government setting compared to the private setting. So the competition in a government setting is quite very high to get a job there compared to the private setting. Yes, both institutions give salaries, but salaries in a government setting are higher than those in a private setting, at least slightly higher. So you find more people opting for these government jobs because of increased salaries compared to the what? To the private setting, slightly higher, especially for the nurses and medical officers. They get slightly higher amount of money compared to the what? To the private setting. The working conditions in a private setting are slightly better than those in a government setting. Why? Because most private settings, the cleanliness is good, the outflow and the layout of the hospitals are good. Why? Because they repair their things very fast, and they intervene in most of the repairs and maintenance of the hospital compared to the government setting. In a government setting, there are a lot of procedures. Sometimes they have to wait for money to come, so the working conditions sometimes are not so good. There are a lot of damages and things to repair, which take time than in a private setting. So that's a little bit about the government setting. Yes, then another thing we are going to talk about is the workload of both institutions. Yes, there is a lot of patients in both institutions, both the government and private hospitals, but we have to say that the workload in the government setting supersedes that one in the private setting. Why? Because most services in the government setting are free. Yes, all services actually are free apart from a few things like scan, but most of the services in a government setting are free. That's why most patients go for this center. So you find that the workload, the number of patients in a government setting are way higher than those in a what? In a private setting, because of those advantages. The government facilities, most things and procedures are for free, unless they send you for medicine when it's not there, but most of the things are free. That's why there's a lot of workload in the government setting. Then we have to look at job security in both settings. Yes, most jobs in a private setting are contract jobs. Yes, you sign a contract for a certain period of time where they have to assess you and to see whether they can give you another contract after the end of the period. But in government setting, most jobs are permanent and pensionable. Yes, so most jobs in the government setting are permanent. So that's why most people opt for these government jobs. The job is permanent and pensionable compared to the job in what? In a private setting, where you have to sign a contract for a certain period of time, and they have to assess you to see whether you deserve another contract. So those are the terms of employment in both settings. loans. Yes, when you get employed, most of you would want to get loans to build or do something else. So both of these institutions can guarantee you for a loan, but in a private setting, most of them they would guarantee you for 2 years to get a loan in a bank. But in a government setting, they can go up to 5 years. Yes, so when you go in a bank, if it's a private hospital, in most cases they'll give you 2 years. Why? Because employees in a government, in a private setting, are ever moving up and down, so they will not give you all that big period. But in a government hospital, most banks will give you a loan for around 5 years. Yes, because they know most jobs people get in a government, they tend to stay longer, because not many people would want to move around in a government, because government jobs are not easy to get. So a bank will give you a quite a bigger loan, for it can take up to 5 years compared to a private setting. Privates, most times they give you for 2 years. Why? Because employees in a private setting, they don't normally stay long. Yes, so those are the terms of loans when you want to get a loan in both institutions. In a government hospital, they will give you a loan for a longer period of time compared to a what? To a private hospital. The last thing I'm going to compare in both institutions is the retirement package. Yes, both institutions give good retirement package. In a private setting, they give you what they call a NSSF refund, which you've been accumulating all over those years. So at the age of 55, they give you a refund. They calculate it compared to your salary and what you've been saving with them, and they give it to you at the age of 55 years. In a government setting, they give you two things. They give you what they call gratuity, as a lump sum of money given to you at the age of 60 years after retirement. Then on top of that, they give you what they call pension. Pension, they get a certain fraction of the money you've been getting, and then they give it to you monthly after you've retired for the rest of your life. Yes, those are the advantages in a government setting. Overall, both institutions have good terms, but we have to say that employment in a government setting, its advantages supersedes those of a private setting when you compare both institutions. That's why most people are fighting so hard to enter the government setting, because of the terms and conditions. So thank you very much for listening.